Hi, this is a message of Thanksgiving for Harry and Meghan and for the Sussex Squad from Mishmuck. 2020 has challenged us in ways that we never imagined, with a devastating pandemic and the fallout of economic hardships and long-term illnesses and unfortunately death. And I also acknowledge that many in other parts of the world are also dealing with wars and other types of unrest. So I don't want to trivialize what atrocities and tragedies are occurring. We're also dealing with natural disasters on the scale of epic destruction, and we globally must face our responsibility and heighten our preparedness for further weather-related hazards. But with that backdrop, here in America, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, a holiday that morphed into a weekend of family reunions, lots of food, deep retail discounts, and Macy's parade in New York City. And each family adds their own twist to make this time unique to how they celebrate. So I'm happy, sort of feeling contented, that Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Doria will be enjoying their first Thanksgiving in their new home in America. And that image feels right in so many ways. It feels normal. It feels satisfying. It feels like a storybook ending. Each one of that unit deserves a bit of the normal, don't you think? In their private and public worlds, this family also faced challenges that they couldn't have imagined would have happened this year. And that's beyond the pandemic. A hostile palace with its courtiers and royal reporters constantly on attack mode, even when Harry is going about his business. They have their faithful echo chamber ready to create the fake outrage that can last several days in the news cycle, and you manufacture a ready list of offenses against the crown that's committed by Harry. It's always against the crown. While I'm sure there are Zoom calls to family members, because I know Harry is close to certain members of the family, and I'm sure that they want to see Archie and things like that, it doesn't mean much to the court of public opinion if those royals deem it appropriate not to show him support. The don't complain, don't explain is a crock of poop when there is documentary evidence that the royals have complained, have explained, and have demanded cease and desist when it comes to protecting their royal feelings. The treatment shown to Harry is meant to humiliate, be painful, and serve as a deterrent to future royals, not only in line for the throne, but for any royals brazen enough to show any signs of independence, because none of them born under that royal house has the ability to set and follow their own agenda. Heck, they don't have a sense of self-worth separate from the Queen's approval. Basically, you breathe because it's at her pleasure. And none of the royal pack saw the Netflix deal in Harry's grasp. I mean, that pretty much knocked them over when the announcement came. They figured he would stumble his way off the palace grounds. He'd twist in the winds because where would he go to work? And therefore, eventually, he'd be back needing to tap into Charles's fat purse. Can you just see them waiting for Harry to put his hand out like Oliver Twist? The idiots probably had another punishment waiting in the wings to remind Harry that they control his fate. Not his grandmother, not his father, but the courtiers who love to remind Betty of the rules and the good of the nation. And Betty hasn't shown any streak of badassery in a while, if ever. Yeah, she can ride side saddle, but if you want to give her that as her badassery, then fine. But Harry and his wife, Meghan, are the dynamic duo who will not be brought to their knees and will not bow their heads to beg for mercy. They are not the black sheep needing to be forgiven. They are pretty sure of their decision and the method taken to be free. Harry is used to the media disrespecting him and belittling his accomplishments. He is used to being held back so that he doesn't outshine his brother's mediocrity. He's used to hearing that he's supposed to be at his brother's side, as if he's some kickstand to a bike, propping up William so he can look competent and look like he's got some kind of charm. But that's why he knew that he had to get away from the media and create a blackout around his family, including being willing to sue their invasive behavior when they used photos of Archie. So Harry, sitting at his dining table this week with his family and giving thanks, has got to be an emotional, fulfilling experience of how far he's come. And let's not forget Meghan's strength through all of this. If you need a symbol of an anchor, a young matriarch standing against an epic storm, a warrior queen defending and protecting her family, that's Meghan in a nutshell. They've got each other's back. Just look at the history of their hand holding, all those videos of them intertwining fingers, looking into each other's eyes. And I feel it's a story not only of love and affection, but of being each other's support, of being each other's number one fan, of combining forces to face their opponents and their enemies. All through the year, Meghan has blindsided the British media, who recognize that she's no wilting flower and she's not an empty-headed vessel. And in between their character assassinations, you'll see glimpses of one of them popping out to say, ooh, they admire her, or ooh, we respect, in this weird, abusive behavior. But they continue to miss the point that they can't destroy her. Win or lose the court case, Meghan will prevail. And why? Because she's not pinning her survival on one thing. Meghan is in it for the long haul. And with this treacherous family, the battles will be constant. They have nothing else to do but stew in their mousetrap royal homes. And heavens to Betsy, that place has a lot of rats. Here's my sidebar. I was at the Marble Arch train station over a year ago, and this black rat came running out on the platform. I freaked out, and the man standing next to me calmly says, "Oh, this is London. That's normal." So the train came, and I watched it dodge all those feet, which was frankly quite amazing, and I was a little impressed. So I have no idea what the rat was looking for, maybe some crumbs or something, but it maneuvered, it survived to scare somebody another day. Then my daughter had her apartment for the university next to the Marriott off of Edgware. And she and her roommates would leave the kitchen window open for ventilation. And it was this massive window that you could probably fall out of. But a rat climbed up the pipe or the wall, I don't know, but came into the kitchen. So I got her frantic call in the U.S., and I had to talk her down. She told me about this rat that was running around on the counter. Thankfully, it decided the counter was too high, so it didn't jump to the floor, and no food was available on the counter, so it went back out the window. So yeah, the royals can stay mad in their mousetrap homes. Meghan has a beautiful home in her home state with lots of sunshine and fresh air. And here's hoping that the fires are contained and we can get that under control. But her child can run in that big yard and discover the amazing wonders of the outdoors. And in Meghan's circle of friends, she can enjoy true friendships that have kept her afloat during these hard times. And now that Archwell Foundation is coming along, she and Harry will be focused on one of their biggest footprints to mark their legacy. And I know that's not what this couple is thinking about, but they are embarking on a huge journey that has nothing to do with the royals. It's not connected or supported by them, and in this case, that's fine. The royals do have a tendency to usurp or make something wither and die when it comes to the charities. So no funds will be taken over or extracted from after Meghan and Harry have done the hard work and heavy lifting. And it's clear that Meghan has managed to keep her father and his family away from her family. That's another thing to be thankful for. I don't know why a grown man thinks this is the best way to deal with his daughter. He confuses me, and I just don't understand him at all. He doesn't seem to want to be better or do better. And now he's going to have to deal with watching just short glimpses of Archie on YouTube with zero relationship with him. And that's sad. But that's his fault. And I don't know if he's just arrogant, vain. Is there some mental deficiency that he just can't seem to get it right? And it's all about him. And he's the victim. So he confuses me. I have no words about the sister because, okay, one word, loser. But she doesn't confuse me. I just don't have anything kind to say. So I'm not even going to bother. So Meghan is learning that you may not be able to pick your family, but you also don't have to let toxicity in. And Mama Doria has got to be so proud once again of her daughter. I know she must have had some restless nights over the royals and her ex and his family. But she has always been a picture of serenity, even with the invasive press. And she's clearly a wonderful mother and advisor to both Meghan and Harry, who he's expressed his appreciation for Doria. They wouldn't have been so settled and happy if Doria wasn't a part of their family and support unit. And so seeing Meghan smile and look contented is more than just that Harry is at her side. It's that her mother is there and she's bonding and she's babysitting and she's probably spoiling Archie like grandmas are supposed to do. Something that wouldn't have happened if she stayed in England. I think the fact that Doria didn't move to the UK was a clear sign that Meghan wasn't staying in the UK. Not that her mother shouldn't have her own life, but it's her only daughter having a baby, her first baby. She would have been there for her. But the crap show at the Royal Rodeo would have wrecked Doria's calm. And she might have had to just come out and just, let's say, slap Betty. I don't know. Who else do we need to slap? Because Doria could just slap them all and I'd be fine with that. So there's a lot for this young family to be thankful for, and for us, the Sussex squad, to appreciate and be thankful for with this family. So let's keep them in prayer. Let's send good thoughts and protect them with healthy vibes. Happy Thanksgiving to all. And this was my original podcast before waking up this morning to the news of Meghan and Harry's personal grief. I asked Maria to hold this episode so I could revisit what I'd written, and what I'd like to add is that my heart breaks for them for having to experience such deep personal pain after the joy of discovering that they would have a second child. And I think this news wasn't shared to the royals because if it was, and they didn't allow Harry to have his wreath laid for Remembrance Day, that act makes them even more of the unholy monsters that they are. And yes, I still hold a grudge for that. And it would have been leaked if this news was given to the royals. Because look at all the news and headlines that came out from July when this occurred for Meghan. And there's no indication that the royals showed any symbolism of support for the couple. And I'm looking squarely at his brother and sister-in-law, Harry's brother and sister-in-law. It was the time to show that there were no hard feelings, that he loved his little brother, that frozen face Kate could show some genuine regard toward Meghan. And not that William had to be effusive, because he can't. But even in the announcement about going after the truth behind Diana's interview, if he'd mentioned that he and Harry were doing this together, it would have shown a rare display of solidarity. This is why I'm going with the idea that they didn't know versus William just being cold to the core, which he is. The other thing is that sharing Frogmore with his pregnant cousin, Princess Eugenie, also shows the consideration given by Harry and Meghan, not only understanding this significant moment in Eugenie's life, but also understanding the stresses of the royal drama that involves her father and problematic mother. So that was a public display of stepping up, and that's what I'm talking about, that the royals are able to show publicly that they support each other in different ways. So Harry didn't have to say anything. He didn't even have to do anything. But of course, I love it because it means that Harry and Meghan aren't planning to be in England for any extended time. So as far as I'm concerned, Princess Eugenie can just stay there and raise a brood of kids. So as I go down this cast of misfits, and I did earlier, I'm back at her father. And see, I just don't like yucky parents, and I don't like elderly yucky parents, because I feel like as you get closer to the grave, it's time to make some amends. It's time to deal with the crosses that you created, and it's just a waste of time. I just don't get it. Anyway, but of course, they're not in contact. And so I am so sure he didn't know that Meghan had miscarried. But do you think he read the news and had a moment of, damn, I'm a really effed up dad? Well, okay, no, I don't think he did, because he seems to be always about him. But, oh gosh, anyway, that's my fantasy story playing out in my head of him having this wake up moment and, asking for her forgiveness. Because, anyway. So, I want to reach out and I want to touch Meghan's hand and hold it between mine and say, we're here. We've got you. Personally, I know the trauma, as I used in vitro for my first pregnancy and had 6 embryos implanted. My body absorbed 4 and I had twins left. In the 12th week, that magical time to hope that your body crosses over that milestone, I miscarried. When they did the sono, I could see my daughter bouncing around on one side and the other one literally leaving my body. It was surreal. I wondered if I'd slept enough, shouldn't have worked, should have eaten better, and on and on. And despite the doctor's warning about this 12-week period and me nodding that I understand, it still hurt, and it was still personal, and the experience is shared in the sense that you have a partner or a spouse who's dealing with that pain and grief with you, but it's also a very deeply solitary moment because it's your body and it's the trauma is within you, but it does get better. You will move on. And so for her to be holding Archie in her arms at that moment, oh my gosh. I mean, when she wrote that in the essay, I could see it. And that's the nurturer in Meghan. I mean, she was focused on calming him and calming herself. And then in the hospital bed, she's focused on her husband's well-being. How can you not admire this amazing woman and this amazing man? I truly love and respect this family, and I don't say that about celebrities. I'm not one to put anyone on a pedestal. Too many icons have cured me of that. But their transparency, and yes, they are in control of what they show to the world, as it should be, but their transparency is for our benefit, an opportunity to do some self-reflection. There is no reason to hate this woman, as some of the comments, even on this personal essay that she wrote. People are so, some people are just so, ugh, evil. You can dislike her. You can say she's not your cup of tea. You're unmoved by her. That's your prerogative. But the hate and the vitriol by people who don't know her, but you dig into her motivations and her reasoning for things, and you come up with these wild, unfounded opinions. It's just, I don't get it. And even when you see her in action, and she is always in action, she's not sitting on her bum just acting royal. You know, still they want bad things to happen to her, and that's sick. And for the peers, Morgan, of the world, of the journalistic world, who have shown no genuine respect for her, but constantly going on the attack. And even from July to now, they haven't let up. They just manufacture misinformation and tear her character apart. And that's just some deep level psychosis. And it's like, get some mental help, please. But these are all the things that she continually dealt with after. We know she dealt with it before. But to be going through this personal trauma and still dealing with her world that is toxic, the royal world, because her personal world is not toxic. But this family is special, as we are all special. We have purpose with our life. Some know what they will do or are meant to do early on, while others may take the scenic route to get there. That's life's journey. We as the Sussex Squad didn't have a clue that we would be a part of this community at some point. We joined. Didn't know that we wouldn't even need this community. I mean, I didn't until I saw these crazy attacks coming out at her. But it was obvious from day one of Meghan's arrival in the royal world that she needed her warriors. And yes, it is a war. These small battles to demand, we have these small battles to demand respect and to highlight the inequalities in how she and Harry are treated. So let's channel a bit of that Meghan energy, because wow, look at all the things she achieved since July. Look at the panels that she was on, the calls, Harry volunteering. I mean, they had this personal moment in grief, and it will live with them, and it's their personal experience. But they stood up. It was like they moved on. They're continuing on. I wouldn't say they moved on like they dropped everything, but they're continuing on. They're still living and loving. And so she is living her life on her terms, in her style, and in her truth. So once again, I want you to have a safe, I want you to have a happy Thanksgiving. And please give those near and dear to you big hugs or fist bumps. We're still dealing with COVID. But, you know, big happy Sussex Squad hug from Meghanpedia, and have a good one.